Hello and welcome. Today we've got Alan Fountain, and today we are going to be discussing that it's not the end of the world, it's the end of the illusion. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to my Instagram channel at nicholas.veniamin, or you can follow all my daily news reels. Alan, thank you so much for joining me. How are you and what have you been up to?
Hi, Nicholas. I'm doing very well. I have been doing lots of research lately. I took a lot of time to myself. For the last couple of years, I've been a guest on many platforms, sharing as the Pedalgate whistleblower, sharing my story to give validity and truth to power about what survivors go through. So for the last 3 years, I've been doing nonstop podcasts on other people's channels. I'm only basically exclusively doing them with you right now. So in between my 2-week periods, it's allowing me to do sit and meditate, find out what I feel like God is wanting me to talk about now. So I do a lot of research during this period, and I'm doing some private stuff for myself and healing. So this is kind of the difference in change right now. So that's where I am right now. Thank you for asking, Nicholas.
No, that's absolutely amazing. Of course, you're doing amazing work exposing the pedophilia, Hollywood, and of course, you've been a victim of that since you were a child. And we've gone through that in our previous videos from 2.5, nearly 3 years ago. What is it exactly you'd like to share with the viewers today, with all the deep state infiltration and us seeing, the illusion ending, actually, because we've all been, we've all been blinded.
Yes, Nicholas, I think this is a very timely topic, and the way that you articulated it, you have a gift for having a pre-conversation and then summarizing something into a focus. And I'm very impressed with the way you did that, because that's exactly where it's coming from my heart. Just to give a quick overview for the people, if they might come into this interview, because I think this interview today might draw people from different areas of consciousness, from the left side, and I think we're trying to merge them. So I'm going to give a little quick 2-minute background of who I am and what I've been doing. Identified as the Pedalgate whistleblower. What has happened is, as a child, I was molested from age 9 to 16. I had trauma from that. We've learned that this trauma, 60 million adult survivors in America are victims of pedophilia. That's just America. It's really huge across the globe. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys. So what this does is this traumatizes the children, makes them have to have a stunted development. There's an ACEs score that determines what their trauma is like. This gets them into the penal system jails. They end up taking recreational drugs. So what this does is this stunts the society and creates all these adverse effects. Just what we've learned, that the deep state and the cabal, the Babylonian system, wants to create suffering. We know that they benefit from suffering. So when you're talking about this is the end of the illusion, there's a language out there in our culture that the media, which we learned was the Mockingbird media. The Mockingbird media is part of the black hat operations. We have black hats, white hats. Black hats are in service of self. White hats are in service of others. And we know we're in an ascension. The people that are on the left that are used to being indoctrinated, the woke community, the traditional Democrats, which have been infiltrated and taken over by this Soros, Khazarian Mafia, Rothschild power source, and the former House of Saudi. They were a power structure before what has happened. So we have a language problem between these two sides, the left and the right. You and I know the geopolitical language of how the world works. The media, which is part of that Mockingbird media propaganda, where Obama signed the Smith-Mundt Act in 2012 to allow propaganda to be legal. He re-invoked that. And the people that are on the left, that are the former Democrats, they have been being gaslighted. We are victims, the left is as a victim of not having the current language that you and I have. The America First, the MAGA, we realize that we are in a Sun Tzu sting operation to save children. And this is why I was able to adapt to this new geopolitical language, not only because I studied that we're in a pedocracy. People don't realize everything going on in America was about human trafficking. That's where the money was. That's where the esoteric elements of our world comes from that develops loose energy. These are topics that our mid-level political systems do not bring into the nomenclature or conversation. And this is where you're talking about we are crashing the illusion. The illusion is that 3D narrative that was part of, there's a compartmentalized agency out there through Soros, through the three-letter agency, clown agencies, the higher, the FBI seventh floor. These agencies have great people working in them, but the Babylonian system, which is worshipers of Baal, the Khazarian mafia, we are all at war between God. This is a battle between God and Satan, good and bad. Our political systems and media does not talk about these very relevant principles of geopolitical power systems. So in order for us to break the illusion, it's important that we educate the liberals and the left, the former Democrats, who really have more in alignment with the America First, we the people, except Soros through Antifa, through Black Lives Matter, through all of these topics. They have successfully used their media tools. The media is owned by 6 corporations. And so these 6 corporations through the Bilderberg Group, which is the corporate structure of, we know that America was taken over as a corporation. The liberal left does not know that. Mm-hmm. You and I know that because the MAGA America First people are 5 years ahead of education. So cracking the illusion is now for us to have open our hearts. We realize that we're not going to be a successful society unless we patiently educate our friends and family. And this is what God's doing. I'm seeing that God is reuniting me with people that are on the left, that I had connections and relationships with, that are good people, but they have bad information. They have wrong information. They don't have the history and knowledge that we were given through this military operation. People don't understand that the 17 movement, the Q that letter Q, I don't know where this goes, but that is from, there's a movie out there called Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is very big in the movie right now, and it was about nuclear war, the first atom bomb. In that movie, they talk about Q clearance. Q clearance is a classification of intelligence that came from the Department of Energy. This Department of Energy is the highest classification. So what has happened is the military has released Q information to this America First side, the people that follow the 17 movement, that are doing the sting operation to raise society. We got, for a 3-year-long period, the trust the plan was not about sit on your ass, think the military is going to come rescue. It clearly says, and it's in my blog because I was part of it, a 3-year information education process. So this is a little background leading into people that might pick up this conversation. They need to understand we are in a military operation. You have a guest on your show called Derek Johnson. I've been on speaking tours with Derek. Derek and I both, SG Anon, some of these podcasters in the alternative media, Dr. Jan Halper Hayes, who is an analyst for the Department of Defense. Department of Defense is the military. These are finite rules. She's speaking on what you and I have covered over the last 5 years. Your network is going to be a great network for new people to come over to and go back to 3 years and start at the beginning with my blog, with the interviews that you had, educating the people on the truth. So your lead in about cracking the illusion is where we are. And this is one of the topics I want to talk about with a major event happened this weekend in in Palm Beach. There is a gentleman named Brandon Straka. He is a gay gentleman who walked away from the Democrat Party. He walked away because he recognized what I'm talking about with this Soros, Antifa, Black Lives Matters. He intuitively discovered the hypocrisy. He realized, not from my perspective comes from the topic no one will talk about, which is why are they trafficking 8 million people, children, across the globe in human trafficking? Nobody will touch that topic because they have learned and have been indoctrinated in our former system of power, which was that Soros, House of Saud, Rothschild power system, Vatican power system. They were in control. The left doesn't realize there is a sting operation where the global capitulation tour took place. These things they know nothing about. So our topic today is about Brandon Straka, the gay gentleman who started the walk away. He has brought lots of liberal people over to the America First movement. This weekend in Palm Beach, he did a walk-a-con, which was they celebrated their 5th year of success anniversary. Carrie Lake, who we love, she was a speaker there. Rudy Giuliani, all of these conservative people who do not hate gays. They understand the truth of the what's going on in society of separating gay people that are Americans. They understand that George Soros, the Khazarian mafia, the power sources, even behind the Vatican. This is very sensitive to people. We're having a conversation right now about religion. What's going on in Israel is related to this same topic that we're talking about. Hamas is Iran. Israel is part of that Zionist, Ashkenazi, Baal worshiping infiltrators who infiltrated Judaism. And this is what's going on with the topic of the gay culture. So these Satanists have come in with the woke movement. It has nothing to do with the natural the natural thought processes or hearts of gay people. They are being victims. This culture is a victim of this Soros, Khazarian mafia institution who is trying to take over America with Satanism. This is why they're trying to create the Baphomet transgender movement. So this is where we're leading into. So this is a little background to lead into where we're going. Did I do okay with that? Do you understand?
Absolutely. Of course. They use religion to control us, but ultimately it's all about, unity, love, good intentions. Doesn't matter what you want.
Jesus loved prostitutes. Jesus loved individuals. And we've gotten away from the heart of Jesus. Humans have a heart. We come from our heart. It doesn't matter what an adult. I've always learned in my walk with God, and my journey is a personal relationship. I've attended church. I've read the Bible, but I am also, the fact that I am a truther and I can discern and I'm a researcher, I don't let religion interfere with my personal relationship with God. I know who I am. People out there know who or what my motivation and my intentions are. Plus, the gay people that I know from my past, I know their hearts, but I know they're victims of the same institution that we all are. The same institution that is creating the woke culture to put a stigma on gay people are the same people that created the jab. The Anthony Fauci created HIV. It's a patent. So the people that are defending that Fauci culture, they're defending Mitt Romney. the left are. These left are defending Mitt Romney and Cheney, Liz Cheney. In the podcast with Brandon Straka and my former friend, two guys from Hollywood, which we're going to talk about, Alan Nevins and Joey Santos, they had never known of one another. Here we are 5 years down the road. We have two gay guys from Hollywood who are major agents in Hollywood. One's friends with Oprah, does her as a private chef sometimes for her, has been on her show. One of them is a major Hollywood agent of celebrities. But are these people that were groomed and compartmentalized for consciousness of the old system, which I think that they are compartmentalized people who got privilege in their world for helping spread the old consciousness illusion that we're crashing now.
Yeah.
So they don't know our illusion, our truth.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Can you talk to me more about this obsession the left have or the Satanists in regards to this transgenderism and BAL?
Yes. So the Baphomet, what we've realized is that the liberal culture has been slowly indoctrinated, and there used to be an LGBT, which the LGBT came about as to unite because of the religious indoctrination. A lot of gay peoples were being harmed. They were being tortured. Back in there's a show out now called The Travelers. It's on Showtime. It's about these gay people with classified clearances. They worked in the military, but what they were doing is they were hunting down the gay people. This is part of that blackmail bribery system. So what they were using the gay people was to have power over them. A lot of gay people are in the military. They're in high office. So they created and stigmatized gay people so that they could blackmail them and own them to do certain duties. The gay population in general is a higher intelligence. They usually have the both energies. They have the energy systems, the masculine and somewhat of the feminine energy, which gives them a fuller spectrum. We don't know what God has done in creating the human being, but the transgender thing is a movement that came from that Soros, the Baal Khazarian mafia who worship Baal. We know that this is a Baphomet. So what they wanted to do is the transhumanism movement, which is started with the people behind YouTube who did 21andMe. 21andMe was created by the sister of the girl who runs YouTube, who was married to the owner of Google, Sergey Brin. Then we have the Wozniacki, the sisters, Anne and Susan. One was the president and CEO of YouTube. The other was the president and CEO of 21andMe, which is about transhumanism. They were doing the DNA, but it was about the transhumanism agenda where they were trying to do the Baphomet. So they put out, they started infiltrating the gay community because they were already adverse. They were already needed support. So what happened is the gay people are not happy about this. They are destroying their
identity.
Power systems, their identity. Plus, this this community had to come together to survive AIDS. So what happened is Fauci, who is also behind the jab currently, he was also behind creating HIV. The gay community has not caught on to the fact that these two correlations are very, very much the same. The first genocide was an attack on the gay culture. But what they did that is they considered them to be, they had groomed society to believe that they were throwaways. So they wouldn't care. They know that there's a huge, huge population of gay people out there. So they created HIV. They killed them off with AZT, which was the first medication. So that made it scary so that the rest of the population for the next 30 years would take their very expensive antivirals when they don't realize you can heal yourself naturally. But what they've done is the deep state has created this different people to be commodities for the medications, etc.
What do you think about the LGBTQ, this LGBTQ movement, because, gay, lesbians, and bis, they're in a group where people are having surgery to change their gender. Do you think they feel offended?
Well, I'll tell you what is happening, and we're now learning. You and I and the people that are on the intelligence aspect of our podcasting, we know that there are the people who have talking points for the liberal side, and there are people who have talking points for the 3D Republican side. But you and I know they're both two heads of the same snake. And this is why what people don't realize on the left, they see Donald Trump's persona from the media, which is okay with Donald Trump because he knows the power he has. You and I know that he is commander-in-chief of the military, and that there is a difference in commander-in-chief, and there is a difference in the president of the corporation. And this is what the left doesn't know.
Yeah.
So the gay community that are being indoctrinated right now, it is slowly happening. It's like putting a frog in a pot. The frog is in the pot, and this Soros institution, which is creates Antifa, they're shit stirrers. They're social, psychological shit stirrers. So what they're doing is they have gaslighted all of us against one another. They've divided us into hate the blacks, Black Lives Matters, the LGBTQ, LMNOP, XYZ. They've added all of these things, and they're trying to put a pedophile on there so that the public will now think that LGBT is immoral. I'll tell you how they brought in morality into the gay community. It wasn't that gay people were naturally promiscuous. It's when you shame people into the inability to have intimacy, to have a partner, to be married, and have the natural human instinct of intimacy, you are shaming them into to having their natural organic needs that are natural to them. It's authentic to them. We don't know the genetic. We don't know they're trying to make it a moral issue. I know some of the most responsible military, incredible people in the world that happen to be identify as gay. And it's these shit stirrers out there that are behind the Satanism that are trying to infiltrate this community. So the T part of it is coming from the Baphomet. The Baphomet is associated with that goat, the goat that we're seeing all over America. And these liberals cannot fathom yet that their leaders, the Obamas, Obama was infiltrated with Iran, which is going on Hamas. We know there was a 16-year plan that included Obama and Hillary Clinton. This comes from the intelligence narrative. I've been blessed that I was shared this information through my military contacts. The 16-year plan was Obama and Hillary Clinton bringing in the New World Order. We know that the left and the mainstream media, these are not their topics because all of this stuff is happening in the shadows. Trump is doing Trump zoo warfare, or what I call, we know as Sun Tzu warfare. You make the enemy think you're weak when you're really strong. Trump looks weak to them. They don't know the truth of what his policies are. In this interview with Brandon Straka and my former friend who I did a podcast a year ago with you, where I said, is this my deep state handler? Why did I come into his life? Why did I know he knows about my molestation? Why did he not support me? Why did he abandon me? Did God have another plan in mind for now? Does God know more than what we know? These are loving people. I'm going to put the podcast that they did with Brandon Storka, plus my podcast I did with you of how I felt a year ago. And this is why your topic, we're breaking the illusion, is so paramount. I see this is why it was necessary for Trump not to take office. We had to show the public. They had to see what was going on because
Absolutely.
You cannot tell people because of the MK Ultra.
Absolutely. People say to me, why do we have to go through this? Why can't the good guys just tell the world what's gone on and then we could all move forward? And the reason why we can't, obviously, is because people won't believe it. Secondly, if they're told, and let's say they do believe it, they haven't experienced the pain, which means that we will be deemed to repeat history.
Yes.
This is a spiritual lesson. We have to go through the experience so that we could naturally want to take charge and control. When I started doing these videos, it's because the illusion broke for me and I needed to do something about it. I've been aware of the deep state since I was 18. But when I realized Trump was part of it, draining the swamp, I thought, right, we've got a chance. I need to be involved. And it's like everybody else. They need to mentally and spiritually have to experience it to take back power and responsibility so that we don't repeat history.
Sorry about the noise in the background. There's two bulldogs that were being trained. And
no worries. We hardly heard it. Okay, no worries.
So you're absolutely right, Nicholas, about this. Let me shut the door a little tighter. Hold on a second. Excuse me.
Sure.
I'm in a podcast. Sorry. Sorry about that. So this is where we are right now. I appreciate your taking a deeper level and having this conversation, because I think in order for us to move, Americans are going to have to come together. Gay people are not going to disappear. Liberals are not going to disappear. What I see happening when you're talking about the breaking of the illusion, that is happening in every aspect of our world. It's happening right now with Israel, and it's up to the Israel community, the Jewish community, to take control back of their faith. They need to tell the world that they were infiltrated by the Khazarian mafia, the people from Ukraine who lived in Ukraine, who were who are behind the bioweapons, who are behind all this other stuff. Because they've been in charge for hundreds of years, and they are pitting us against one another since the Napoleon War. There's a movie coming out on Napoleon, which I don't know if it's the deep state's version, but this is what Hollywood does. Hollywood has created the history because they've always won the wars. Anyone who wins the war gets to create the new history. We have been lied to for 200 years of what our natural history is. All of the truth that we have done is in my blog, all of these things. So this is where we're having to come together now. Israel is one of them. The gay narrative right now of learning the truth about the LGBTQ and the Baphomet, and then you asked about cutting up children. The cutting up of children is part of the other element of this. The Rockefeller Foundation, who is part of the globalist 1%, Bill Gates, the Rockefeller Foundation, the Rothschilds, when you have 13 bloodline families having power over the entire earth, and a portion of them is into human sacrifice, worshiping Satan, and keeping it from the public, they have infiltrated every system in America. The Rockefeller Foundation, who is part of these globalists, they are ahead of education. That's why they have destroyed the education system, and they're making teachers in order to, they're using their colleges, major colleges that have these fraternities that lead into the Masons, that lead into the secret societies. They are funded and controlled by these globalist funding institutions. This is why we have to reform these major colleges who are slowly educating and indoctrinating their students to think this stuff is normal. These kids are innocent. They have warped their brains. They have made them think that it's normal to have 50 genders. You know, they have taken them away from a Y chromosome and an X chromosome, and they've made them think that their emotional state or how they feel or how they identify is a legitimate orientation. But they have been indoctrinated. This is child abuse. And it's the same child abuse to have them mutilate their bodies. They're using MK Ultra as well.
To me, there's only two genders: a vagina and a penis. Excuse my language. But and they will see through that eventually. They will see through that. They will see there's only two. How comes there's only two?
And what you choose to do with it, one thing that I have learned is that judging, people don't realize there's a lot of people that are on the liberal America First right side that their intentions are good, but they think they can go out And now they're weaponized with hate. They now can hate gay people. They can now hate transgender. There is more in the Bible about not forgiving and walking as Jesus. They don't realize, they think they're ascending. They are descending. Anytime you
Absolutely.
go in judgment of another human being, you are lowering your vibration. So
Absolutely.
you're not God. Let God. God has put me. He has put other people that might be of different orientations to be leaders. There's people out there that are doing things for humanity. You don't know God's plan. We are to love one another. We are to not judge. We are to pray for God's will. And we have to realize that the pedophiles are from the Vatican. These pedophiles that are running the Vatican are Satanists, and I'm not trying to offend Catholics. You hear people referred to as recovering Catholics. The Vatican is the part of this Babylonian system of power. The Vatican and the British Crown are agents of the Rothschild family. So it was up to them to keep us repressed, to divide us, to use religion. The Vatican is the holder of religion. Why do we have so many religions? It's so that we can't unite and overthrow them. God is about
Absolutely.
love and
No,
unity.
no, of course. It shouldn't. Religion is just one God, and that's love. And they
Yes.
just want to divide and conquer us, and
Yeah.
divide us, and that's how they control us, because we're small groups instead of us being one big unity. We're massive, or us all together. They don't want us to be joint, to be united.
They're mutilating our children, as you said.
We're more stronger than them because they're a small people. They're a small amount of people, 1%, less than 1%, and we're more powerful than them.
And this is what you're doing, Nicholas. Your platform with your guest. All of these videos are recorded over the last 3 years. They are available for these people that are now going to wake up on that side and hopefully be educated. There has been thoughtful, articulate education with Derek Johnson, with Michael Jaco, with Lewis Herms, all of these people that are familiar with the intelligence narratives of the former intelligence agencies. They know the geopolitical truths. We've done our research. We've documented it with, it's out there for them to learn. It is important that they get off of their asses and have an open mind and quit, let their ego defend what they think is their truth. This is why I'm taking the risk. I don't like shaming people, but my friend who is an agent of, he's an agent of consciousness for the left, for that Babylonian system. And whether he knows it or not, he knows in his heart that he has not talked to me as someone who is advocating for these children. I had a very nurturing life. He took me to Portugal to get me away from speaking for the children. My wish is that we're all on the same page and everything was about the right timing. And God is bringing us together now. These people have to decide, do they want their history to be agents of, like we know what was that movement in Hollywood with the women where they were all being raped and it was the big movement. This is what's happening now for the children. These people from Hollywood, they're going to either have to join and align with us and expose this system, or they will forever be known as the ones who held down the arms of these children while they were raped. Because my friend who could be there for me, he still has a chance in the future to heal, have a thoughtful conversation. My goal is that Brandon Straka, who is major political voice for the America First, MAGA, and these people, two men from Hollywood, I can bring in my military intelligence aspect and us all have a thoughtful conversation on how to unite the sides. This is the motivation of that versus shaming them into being bad people. I think God is moving mountains right now.
Absolutely. And we're looking forward to it. But Alan Fountain, thank you so much for sharing everything with us today. It's always an honor. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Well, I'd like to say, I want to point out where they can go, that I'm going to put into an article the podcast and the event this weekend with Brandon Straka. I'm going to put in the podcast I did a year ago with you, where I was heartbroken over these people abandoning me because I was advocating for children, plus the interview with Brandon Straka and the same guys, so that people can go and look at them and realize that what's going on is, like you said, we are breaking the illusion is what's happening. But I would like, I've been invited to go on some speaking tours for the children. People know that I haven't aligned with selling products. If you're willing to donate to my Give, Send, Go so that I can continue doing the message for the children, please go do that. And I'm not a grifter. All my money goes to advocating for this cause. But thank you, Nicholas, for your platform and for helping save humanity. And that's what you're doing. You're changing consciousness.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Alan. You take care and God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Appreciate it.